Sounds good.
But I did
I'm gonna
figure
turn
out.
my video off so I can set my phone down.
Got you.
Okay.
So I did figure out though how to. Uh,
I'm here. I can hear you.
no, okay. I did figure out how to edit a little bit better today,
Hmm.
but crap, I got too many windows pulled up. Oh, okay, I was on the right one. So I tried to use this thing called Podbean.
Podbee.
Pod, like a like an iPod,
Uh-huh.
and then Bean, like something that
Oh,
like.
yeah. Brian Keith uses that, or he
Okay,
used to.
got you,
So if you need any guidance on that, he'd be a good go-to.
got you. I'm definitely gonna reach out to him. And I was trying to put a website together because I figure it may be smart to just upload the episodes to the website since I went ahead and purchased the
Hmm.
domain name, and then I figured keep recording and then kind of figure it out along the way. If I get at least one put out by next week, that'll be better than nothing, and then just go
Right.
from there one a week.
Right.
But I'm
Makes
going
sense.
to shake out the little jitters here and get into it. Do you prefer Shatora Marshall or Ladorne?
Ladorne for business is always Ladorne. Yeah.
Okay, got you. So we'll say this is a business call.
Okay.
Don't charge me too much.
No charge. No charge.
Dang it. I thought you said something last week and I was like, oh man, you got it. Oh, wait, no, that wasn't it.
Well done, better than well said. Was it that one?
No,
Or was it about the destination?
I think it was the one about destination.
Oh, I said choose your company based on your destination.
Right, right. So, what did you mean by that?
Oh, that's definitely one to unpack. So, um, the more I had been sitting thinking, um, as far as who I surround myself with, and I don't surround myself with a lot of people,
Hmm.
and I know that especially this day and age, you have to surround yourself with people in order to grow. And the few that I do connect with, we're all about growth and we're all about the growth mindset. And sometimes it's actually even difficult to be around people that aren't in a growth mindset when you're so used to, like us, being in BU, or when every one of your friends has a business.
Right,
Once you're
right.
around that one friend that doesn't, or isn't even working on one, or isn't working on self development, it's like, it's a little draining sometimes.
Yeah.
And I was like, so where's that medium? Because yes, I'm still friends with people that aren't in that mindset, and we're still cool, we're good. Our time is limited because we don't have as much to talk about, but um, I also said that I need to put myself out there a little bit more and really connect with more people, especially since I've moved from state to state to state, and
Mm.
just really have that home base of good connections, with all of us, everyone spread apart. So, I have friends here in Maryland and Virginia and California and just everywhere else.
Right.
So just having that home base of friends, and I was like, gosh, I feel like I'm in third grade again. How do I go make friends? And if it's not a networking event that's of benefit to me, I don't really go to them.
Mhm.
And I was thinking to myself,
Are you
how
slapping
what
yourself over there? Sorry.
no. You're probably here. I'm going over these little bumps.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Um,
Got you.
so I I figured best way for me to make friends was to choose friends based on where I'm going.
Mm.
And you hear things similar to that all the time, the company you keep and just things like that. And so I my thought was, if this is where I'm trying to go, not even so much for any sort of gain, but just people that are headed in that direction.
Right.
Um, because if I'm looking to make $1 million and I have friends that are not looking to make money at all, then
Mm.
what good does that do me? But even if I have friends that are cool with making 100,000,
Yeah.
that's where their comfort level is, and they're trying to get there, then that might still not be my crowd. While we'll get along because we're all in that mind frame and on that wavelength, the ones that are after 1 million have a certain level of hunger and a certain etiquette to themselves that I'm actually looking for
Okay.
on a pure genuine level.
Gotcha. So I guess in saying that, you're not saying like, I guess you're not necessarily worried about playing good guy or good cop, bad cop. You're more worried about making sure that you're looking out for yourself and you're not trying to
Right.
self-sabotage, or I'm not trying to put
Right.
words in your mouth.
Right. Like the married guy that has nothing but single friends. It's like,
Mm.
how far are you really gonna go?
Right.
What advices are you really getting that are of benefit to your current situation?
Right. It's like, hey man, just leave her. Just come hang out with us. Come be
Right.
fun again.
Right.
That's funny. So it's like, with all the moving that you've been doing, has it always been work related, or were you military in the past?
No, it's all been work related, different assignments that I've been on, and I've met some amazing people, on
Mm.
every assignment. I've met some extremely amazing people and made great connections with them, but still, some are, riding that wave, and some
Mm.
are just, they're just good people to talk to.
Right. Is it ever, do you ever feel like it's hard to ride the wave of like you're trying to just level up, level up, level up, or is that
It is,
anything that you struggle with?
it gets draining at times. And that's when you have to sit back and understand that while the grind is every day, the grind is also in the small things.
Mm.
The grind is in raising your kids, the grind is in cooking dinner, the grind, it's still within all of those small things, even though the big things matter. Getting those speaking engagements still matter.
Got you.
Putting out the book matters. And making sure that I'm up with the 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. club, it still matters.
Right.
But as long as those small things compile and add up to the big things, then it's still all good.
Are you still doing speaking engagements?
I do. I do.
Okay.
My goal before was to get one every month, and
Mm.
then when I transitioned into the position I'm in now, when you're in corporate training, that's a little more difficult because everything is either on the weekend, or when there's retreats going on with the company, those are on the weekend, things like that. So I've had to
Gotcha.
scale back on it, but still, um, whenever I'm asked to speak or
Mm.
paid to speak, I try my best to be there.
Got you. How long you been speaking?
Oh, I've been speaking now for, well, I've been speaking a very long time. Professionally, though, like really going for it and putting my all into it,
Mm.
I'd say for the last 6 years.
Okay.
Is that right? 2013? So, yeah, right around
Yeah.
six
Yeah.
years.
Oh wow. So I guess what got you started into speaking, or why did you choose that?
Um, well, that's a long backstory. So, long story short, uh, when I was younger, all like my life consisted of was music. I loved to
Okay.
sing. I loved to produce music. That was my core. That was my life. Um, one of the, actually, one of my greatest speeches, I would say, are about that whole journey and you know, looking for record labels and being part of a singing group and all of that. And when it came down to us being able to go on tour, we were called by Arista Records to do a demo, and it was $250. And $250 is nothing, right? But at 14, 250 was like crazy. And I had already lied about my age. I was to work at Pizza Hut, and like I was maxed out. My check for 2 weeks may
Yeah.
have been, 150, $200. So in the time frame that it would have took to get the money, we didn't have it. And so I actually have a mixtape tattooed on my chest, the cassette tape.
Mhm.
And it's to remind me to never be in a position to where I didn't achieve whatever I was trying to achieve because of what I didn't know. Like I didn't know I could go and hustle up the money other ways other than going to work a job, you know?
Right.
I didn't know, okay, there are loans and things out there. I never want to go for a loan, but I didn't even know that they were out there.
Right.
I didn't know about investors. I didn't know about creating, a product. I didn't know any of that. And so my promise to myself with that mixtape was to never lose my dream over something that I didn't know.
Mm.
And so, in speaking that story, more and more people wanted to hear it. And then I would also sit back and say, God, why else am I here? If it's not music, what else is it that I'm here for? And I would always give good advice to my friends. And one of my friends was like, you should go to Toastmasters and just, work on some of the speaking and stuff like that you already do. So I went to
Mm.
Toastmasters, and from there it's kind of all she wrote. People would start asking me to come and speak here, come and speak there, and then when I got into another group, it was like, oh, you could drop all that and do what you do. So it snowballed, and I'm
Got you.
grateful for it. So long story short, not so short.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, I guess that's why you do the podcast thing, because it's like you sometimes you want to hear the long story, and it's like it's sometimes I like listening to things in the long form because then you don't have to feel so rushed.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I'm glad that you mentioned Toastmasters because I happened to join it too also back in 2014
Mhm.
because two people from work had mentioned it to me, and I went and checked it out, and I was like, wow, this is really different where people encourage you to speak and then they
Right.
kind of reinforce your good and your bad habits or your no, I said that wrong. They
They make you
encourage
aware of your bad habits and
right,
reinforce the
right,
good. I got
right,
you.
right. So then I guess for you, was it like when you went to Toastmasters, was it like a whole new experience for you? And then once you left it, did you feel comfortable dropping what you'd learned, or how
Well,
did
it
you?
was it was more so Toastmasters really taught me how to put a speech together. I already
Okay.
knew how, but how to really, really tell a story and
Mm,
speaking with your body and things like that, which um, when it came to personality and body language and all of that, that was already stuff that I had been studying and had a lot of personal experience with. But um, evoking emotion the way that I would in a normal speech
mm,
versus being able to do that on a truly international level. So learning how to speak to different cultures all in one room is
mm.
what I mainly got from Toastmasters, and really being able to speak to that same group but do it my way
Yeah.
was what I learned after the fact. And
Okay.
so whenever you go to a Toastmasters meeting, there's a certain etiquette to how you speak
Right.
and
Right.
saying things this way, turning them that way. But I had some really great mentors in Toastmasters that were just like, "You've got it," and run, 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 run far, run fast.
That's
I went
awesome.
for the World Championship of Public Speaking. Made it pretty far, so I was excited about that, and it just showed me what I could do, and it gave me that extra boost of confidence. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I would go to do speaking engagements, I'd be able to bring my speech there and
Mm.
get the free opinion, or somewhat
Right.
free. You have your annual membership, but I could go and bounce off ideas, or if I'm training at work, I could go bounce off ideas there, and do different icebreakers there. So it was very good for the small fundamentals,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to learn how to put your own sauce on it, because if you go there and you think that they're going to teach you everything there is to know about public speaking,
Right.
then you're going to find out that they're really teaching you how to be
They're teaching you how to be a what?
a leader.
Okay. Right. Right.
Hmm.
That makes sense. I guess for I well, first of all, I congratulate on not only starting but getting all the way to the competition rounds and doing well, because
Hmm.
not everybody makes it, and I guess a lot of people tend to get discouraged a little bit just from like that fear of public speaking.
Right.
But it's good that you did that, and mm,
I appreciate it. Thank you.
you're welcome. And I guess that just goes and it points to how like you made the transition from like using your gift in singing to being able to speak and be an orator, and
Hmm.
then just kind of you just kept building on that muscle. And I guess that makes sense as to what you do now for work, where it's what is it exactly?
I'm the training facilitator at Instacart.
Okay, got you.
Hmm.
And I guess in training, do you focus a lot on communication, or what's your like? What are some of the things you like to highlight?
Yes, I do. The soft skills, your people skills, being able to understand who you're talking to. And once you understand people, you understand how they do what they do, why they do what they do.
Hmm.
It makes it that much easier to really be able to relate to somebody and show that certain level of empathy and things that you need in order to have a successful conversation. And
Hmm.
that bleeds over into other areas in life just the
Gotcha.
same. So,
Right. That's a great point. And I guess it goes without saying, just you doing that not only at work, at home, professionally, it kind of just it's continued to build you up as a person, because I remember I met you, I think it's 2 years ago, and I just reached
oh.
out for just some coaching advice on preparing for an exam. And very
Hmm.
quickly you told me it's like, okay, let's really take a look at your time and let's try to look at what you're trying to do and like put some metrics on that so we can actually measure what you're trying to achieve. And that like walking through that process really put it into focus, because for myself a lot of times it's like you can I can know how to do something, but then unless I actually sit down and give it the attention to say I need to do this by this time and actually meet that goal, be able to check it off, then
Hmm.
unless I do that, it more than likely won't get done, or I can kind of just put it off to the side and just dismiss it.
Right. Right. That's it. That's with everybody, you
Yeah.
know. Um, some things we put at the forefront of our minds, and some
Mm,
things get pushed to the back burner. And even things that seem really important, and the things that we feel like we've got to get done, there's always that one thing that needs to get done before that thing gets done. And by the time you're done, it's now 9:30 in the evening, and you've done nothing.
gotcha. And I know earlier you also mentioned about having a tattoo of the mixtape to kind of remind yourself never to um, be in a position of lack. Is that something that you use to drive you, like in your everyday when you go into the office and maybe somebody's acting out, or you really like you maybe have one of those days where you don't feel like being there?
Oh, absolutely. Like from from the day that happened,
Hmm.
um, when I say music was my life, it was like eat, sleep, breathe. music. And I felt like nothing had ever hurt me more than that.
Mm.
And so nothing could ever hurt me more than that.
Gotcha.
And that gave me a certain level of drive to always want to keep going, but to also be patient and make sure
Mm.
that I do things right.
Mm.
And so now, as it relates to if I'm going into the office or if I'm going into any office and training anybody, it's, did I leave here with everyone in this room floating on a new wave? Did I get a chance, or did I get the opportunity to put it all out there to where I know that I gave my all and I invited people to give their all back? Uh, most most of the things that I go and train on are about personality,
Mm.
and nothing beats personality. You can't beat your personality. It just kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
And and if you're given 100%, your personality shines through, the true you shines through, and you'll continue to put your all into the work. It doesn't do me any good to go and train somebody on something that their heart isn't invested in.
Mm.
And if they didn't think their heart was invested in it before, then I
Yeah.
did my job by making sure their heart was invested in it after I taught them what they needed to know.
Gotcha. So when you're training somebody, like, do you try to have like a heart to heart with them, or kind of just scope them out from a distance to see like, okay, this person's here for this seriously, or like this person, it's like this isn't going to work out with this other person?
Well, that part actually comes very easy to me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in this last, we call them waves, but in this last class, I had an opportunity to kind of get everybody up, get them moving around, and we discussed personality a bit, and I read them.
Mm.
I'm very good at reading people, and just over the years, I've been able to develop that and work that muscle as well. And so, of the 15 people that were in my class, I went through and within 30 seconds of the small conversations, I was able to go and read everybody. And they were so amazed. They had the whole company talking about it the rest of the day, uh, because I put my heart into it and I paid
Mm.
that much attention.
Right.
So that was, but it was also very fulfilling. It was rewarding
Mm.
to know that they took it. And I even had a couple of people crying. So, um, a job well done.
Nice.
Um, and for me, that's what really matters.
Gotcha. That's great to hear. It's great to hear. Great. I mean, that's great to hear coming from you, but also knowing you for a little bit of time, it makes sense as to why you're always happy. It's not necessarily that like you're having to just put on or just
Hmm.
like carry on with life, but it's actually knowing that you're doing something that matters, and also understanding that you invested the time into it and you've realized more of what you want.
Right, right.
That's awesome. And when
I
you
have. That's taken a long time.
got you said, would you say more than the 6 years you mentioned since you started speaking, or
Oh yeah, absolutely.
got you?
That has come from you know just learning life.
Mm.
I I was an only child, but
Mm-hmm.
I had all of my cousins and my aunts and my uncles, and so you wouldn't know that I was an only child. Uh,
Got you.
and I did a lot of people watching, and
Mm-hmm.
looking at what makes sense and what doesn't make sense, and why did this work and why didn't it work. And so I think I've been building that up over the years, but
Mm-hmm.
it's finally gotten to a place where I'm able to put it out in the world and it actually makes some sense. It makes some sense to other people when to me it's like, oh yeah, this is that, or this is why that is. And for
Right.
other people, it just connects dots, and
Got you.
I think that's healing.
So I guess for you, since you're able to work as a trainer, and I guess you'd say
Hmm.
like a management trainer, is that the right
Hmm.
term? So
Hmm.
since you're able to work in that arena, and then you're also able to speak on the side, would you say, like, how am I going to phrase it? So I guess a lot of people I've come across that are in the entrepreneurial space, they
Hmm.
have like this negative outlook on quote unquote corporate work, or when it's working for somebody else,
Right.
because it's like, I don't want to work for the man. I want to go work on my own, and I don't want anybody telling me what to do. But it seems like you've been able to strike a good balance of working for someone or working with someone that maximizes your talents, while you can use the same talents or something different where it's speaking directly to people on your
Hmm.
own time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I feel like where I'm at now, the company is, it's one of those companies that allows you to be you. And
Mm,
they truly, truly, it's not like other companies where they say, yes, we want you to be you and bring yourself to the table, and they don't really mean that. It's more follow our protocol.
mm,
And because it's like that, I'm able to be there. Otherwise I would just quit again.
gotcha.
Right.
So
Um,
that always hasn't been the case for you in the past.
oh, right, right. And then it's like, um, you quit and you grind that much harder working for
Mm,
yourself.
right.
For me, it's easier to have the steady job as well,
Mm,
because like with kids and things like that, for my particular situation, it works.
mm,
Have I done it without it? Oh, absolutely. But it's a little bit harder, and the investment that I want to make into my kids as far as the time, I
mm,
don't have that when I'm doing it just solely as an entrepreneur.
gotcha.
Um, but my plan is to make that happen again.
Mm,
But I have no issues with doing both, as long as I'm truly doing what I love and I'm still able to use my talents and put it into what I do, be it corporate or entrepreneurial.
gotcha. Let me ask you this, if I can phrase it correctly.
Sure.
With
And I'm about to grab my food too, so hopefully it doesn't get too loud.
Okay, no, you're fine. So, um, as you, so I was gonna say, um, what's a what's a misconception that people have had of you in the past, like as you've come into the role that you're in now, or as you're kind of on your way?
You said, what's a misconception people have had of me?
Yes. Or do you bother
Um,
to even listen to any of that?
I don't really listen. I think the biggest misconception is that because I've tried a lot of things and I've tried to do different things,
Hmm.
I think the misconception is that, I was just, chasing the next thing, when really it was more so of, I did this to do that. I can pinpoint everything that led me to the next thing, right?
Okay.
So while I may have been doing one steady thing,
Hmm.
I was trying everything. So when I was doing insurance, I was
Hmm.
still trying everything else,
Okay.
because I'd like to have those different experiences under my belt. And how can you talk about something that you've not been in?
Right. Right.
And so for me to go out and speak and talk about the corporate ladder and how to climb it, and I've not done it before, is useless.
Right.
To understand how to have those people skills and talk to people in different settings, if I've not done it, how am I supposed to do it? How am I supposed to say that I'm able to talk to, the rock star, but at the same time I'm able to talk to the doctor?
Right.
So I have to put myself in those positions in order to know what the hell I'm really talking about. Sorry, I
Gotcha.
don't know if I can say that on your
No, you're
podcast.
fine. You're fine. I'll decide later if it needs to be censored or not. You're fine.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, it might get a little loud.
No, do you need a minute to pause, or?
Yeah, let's pause for one quick second. Let me just
Okay.
grab my food.